Reginald here. No fun intro this time, I'm going to just get to the point. I've played around 36 hours of Space Marine 2 at this point with my Advanced Access Pass, and it's release night. This video is about whether or not you should buy and play Space Marine 2. My audience is broadly split into two groups of people, Darktide players and Helldivers 2 players, and also the three people who like Beyond All Reason. Both of those co-op PvE games are interesting, but very different mechanically. If you're watching this video and have played neither of these games, that's fine. You'll probably get enough out of this video anyway. However, I'm going to primarily try to direct my comments towards these two audiences. First, should you buy the game? Yeah, probably. I'll give you 4 good reasons. 1, the PvE co-op is definitely very fun. I have 36 hours in, and I suspect I will get another minimum of 60 out of it. Very likely many more if the game develops well after release. 2, the PvP is competent. I have my complaints and all, but it's a fun mode and I enjoyed my rounds of it. 3, the campaign looks sick from the spoilers I've let myself see on various people's streams the last few days, and I am very excited to play it. I hear it's about 7 to 10 hours long, and I've maybe played like 30 minutes or so, and I enjoyed those 30 minutes. 4, in my 36 hours, I have experienced precious few game-breaking issues, and more or less smooth connections with various players. Sure, I've had the odd bug and issue, but it's really nothing worth caring about in my experience. I'm just not having fundamental problems when I play this game. It works. Unlike other releases I've experienced, it's stable so far, so I think that on launch day it should be stable for you. This goes to my entire audience. My ruling still in general is that the game is worth buying for most people. The sheer spectacle, the music, the aesthetics, the level design, the general quality representation of the 40K setting, the entertainment value, and more. But there are some things I don't like. The PC default keybinds are honestly really awkward and take some getting used to even after you customize them. The melee system is oversimple and the finishers get repetitive. I don't like the bolters or the thunderhammer much from the perspective of in-game performance, damage, in some cases the sound effects and visual effects, and more. I'll talk about my issues and provide some solutions another day, but the game is fun and it works and it plays at a quality level that is worth the sticker price, which I consider a lot in current year, and in any case, the previously mentioned issues are not overriding or overruling of the reasons to purchase. To my Helldivers 2 audience, this game is not going to be the Helldivers killer. It doesn't have the things that make Helldivers 2 special for you. Space Marine 2 is a very fun game, I enjoy it a lot, but Helldivers 2 is a game with semi-procedurally generated open maps with large randomized encounters and something of a humorous yet serious gameplay loop. In Helldivers 2, you're getting up to some downright shenanigans as you crash the objectives and then attempt to get a clean extract or die trying. There's not much like it on the market, to be honest. It's a very unique co-op game with some interesting shooting mechanics that aren't like much else on the market either. Space Marine 2 is more of an on-the-rails mission mash, in the same vein as Left 4 Dead, but with a more fleshed out melee system that you must learn to get good. You show up in a mission and map you've run probably 9,000 times, and the game director feeds you enemies of different configurations. Occasionally there's a boss fight, or a big horde, or maybe even 2 groups of enemies fighting. Sometimes the enemies come from over the roof instead of across the bridge, maybe there's more guardsmen rather than less, but everything is very same from mission to mission. The real gameplay loop differentiation for you is getting mechanically better and getting better gear and getting more expression of playstyle through various classes and equipment and perk trees. However, there is a lot of personal player expression that isn't there in Helldivers, which has a much more shallow equipment pool and no classes or customization worth mentioning. Yet, we all still like Helldivers just fine, aside from the balance issues. The way you take fights in Space Marine, and taking fights is the name of the game in Space Marine 2, is highly customizable. There's certainly opportunities for small unit tactics if that's your thing too. Ultimately, it is a fun game with friends and you'll get your money's worth, I think, but it's a very different game than Helldivers 2, so just be advised. To my Darktide audience, this game is not going to kill Darktide. Hell, it's not even as good as Darktide. They're, well, at the core combat loop level. The thing that Darktide has had going for it since launch amidst its assorted dumpster fires, yeah, Darktide's still better at that one thing. You should still buy Space Marine 2, in my view, if you're looking for another good co-op game to play. It is a very fun game, and I'm having an absolute pile of fun playing it. I think I'll just kind of flop between Darktide and Space Marine 2, depending on my mood from now on. But let me clarify a few things for you so you know what to expect. First of all, the cosmetic system is great, mostly earnable, highly customizable, and recolorable. Good stuff. Second, the game has all of the fantastic 40K aesthetics we've been spoiled by in Darktide, and great music too. The combat is fun and engaging and has melee. Also, you can dual wield a pistol and a melee weapon. However, I need to be honest here in that Space Marine 2 doesn't have better weapon diversity or playstyle variety than Darktide. Literally, SM2 has the talent tree from Darktide patch 12 and earlier. The weapons do also have talents, which is pretty cool, I would say, but it doesn't feel earth-shatteringly customizable. The combat feels clunky and a bit undercooked, with overlapping incoming enemy attacks with no tells that can absolutely stagger lock spiral kill you in a heartbeat or two. Combos are inferior to Darktide, with most weapons basically just being light spam with a heavy on top. The most complex is the chainsword, and every heavy attack is some form of stagger knockback AoE that end caps a light chain. Dodges cannot interrupt attacks, though parries can. Parries can interrupt dodges too, I think? Also, stagger is a mess in the game for you and for enemies. Melee kind of mosh pits into just parry, parry, parry when it's bad. No audio cues either for incoming backstabs that aren't special blue telegraphed ones. It does kind of drive a Darktide player nuts with how unfair things sometimes get. But there are those neuron activation flow state moments where everything just lines up and you're slaughtering in a ceaseless, perfectly timed annihilation spree. And it's just a fun game, so take it for what it is and have a good time. Okay, that's a wrap. I hope you've enjoyed my approach to this review. I don't expect wide distribution of this video, but I'm really just talking to my subscribers here. I know not all of you are willing to spend the extra like 20 bucks or whatever for a few extra days of early game access, and that's downright reasonable. So I hope this helps inform your decision to or not to buy the game, whichever way it goes. Thanks so much for visiting, everyone, and bye-bye.